Why does the world's idiocy grow more and more every day? Brainrot. In the 1940s, Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer introduced the idea of the culture industry, a way to explain how modern capitalism turns culture into something standardized and mass-produced. They argued that mass culture is not created freely by ordinary people, but controlled from above. It shapes what we like, how we think, and how we behave, all to keep society passive and maintain the existing power structure. Art, which once challenged people, questioned power, and awakened thought, is now mostly designed to entertain and distract. What was once alive and meaningful becomes a comfortable product meant to keep us quiet. This is easy to see today in the explosion of meaningless viral videos, like the Bombardico Crocod trend. These videos are not random. They are created to fit perfectly into a system that rewards what is loud, exaggerated, and easy to consume. They don't invite reflection or understanding. Instead, they spark quick reactions, laughter, confusion, surprise, all detached from meaning. Adorno believed entertainment under capitalism does not force people to obey. Instead, it lulls them into passivity through constant repetition. Today's short-form videos are the clearest example of this idea. They give stimulation without substance, distraction without challenge. People don't just watch these trends, they copy them, mimic the sounds and gestures, and spread them further, becoming part of the cycle themselves. The logic behind these trends is not to express something meaningful, but to fill space with noise. This is not cultural expression, it's cultural sedation. Thinking becomes tiring, unnecessary, even unwelcome. The danger lies in how this is packaged. These trends look like fun, play, and freedom. In reality, they are carefully structured and pushed by algorithms designed to reward content that is easiest to consume and triggers the fastest reactions. It feels spontaneous, but it is deeply calculated. Adorno warned that this kind of entertainment makes people believe they are choosing freely, while their choices are actually being shaped for them. The joy people feel is not the joy of freedom, but the joy of submission. Submission to trends, templates, and attention systems that turn everything, including human emotion, into a product. The problem isn't just that the content is silly. It's that it normalizes a worldview where depth is irrelevant, coherence is boring, and thought is a burden. Over time, this constant exposure to absurdity reshapes our sense of normal. The bizarre becomes familiar. What once would have seemed stupid or meaningless starts to feel natural. People who question it are often accused of overthinking or not getting the joke. But the joke is not harmless. It works as a quiet form of control. Adorno saw mass entertainment as a way to keep people emotionally dependent, passive, and easy to guide, not through fear but through pleasure. In 1967, Guy Debord expanded on this idea in his book The Society of the Spectacle. He argued that modern life is ruled by appearances, by images, and by performance. What matters is not reality itself, but how it is shown to us. We don't simply live anymore, we stage our lives as a performance. Viral trends, absurd dances, nonsense words, exaggerated gestures, are part of this spectacle. They don't reflect reality. They replace it. The more absurd the performance, the more attention it receives, and the more real it begins to feel. The spectacle doesn't just distract us. It becomes the lens through which we interpret everything. People begin to act not with sincerity, but as if they are always being watched. In 1985, Neil Postman published Amusing Ourselves to Death, warning that societies may not collapse because of tyranny or censorship, but because they become too addicted to entertainment to care about truth or complexity. He argued that laughter and distraction can be more dangerous than force. Today's digital landscape shows how right he was. Viral nonsense spreads faster than serious ideas, not because it's better, but because it's easier. Serious thinking takes time and effort, but memes and short videos are quick, light, and disposable. Postman feared a society that would laugh itself into passivity, where people no longer take anything seriously, where ideas no longer matter because amusement dominates everything. That is exactly the culture we are drifting into. South Korean German philosopher Byung-Chul Han has shown how modern digital culture pushes everyone to perform constantly, to make themselves visible all the time. In this world, silence, reflection, and privacy have no value. What matters is how visible you are, how loud, how entertaining. Viral absurd trends are born from this environment. People no longer need to express their inner selves, they just need to perform something that gets attention. Even idiocy becomes labor, the labor of being entertaining. Everyone copies the same nonsense, convinced they are unique, while they're actually repeating the same pattern. Han calls this the fatigue society. People are not oppressed, but exhausted by the pressure to always be seen, to always produce. The result is a culture that has no space for depth, silence, or critical thought. French philosopher Jean Baudrillard, in Simulacra and Simulation, argued that we live in a hyperreality where the line between real and fake disappears. Viral trends like Bombardico Crocod are perfect examples. They don't refer to any real meaning or emotion. They are pure surface, a performance with no substance. But because they spread everywhere, and repetition is enough to make them powerful, the algorithm doesn't reward truth or intelligence, it rewards whatever spreads. The figure who can best play this game, the loudest, the most absurd, becomes an influencer, a cultural star, not because of their ideas but because of their reach. This is how stupidity becomes power in a hyperreal world. All these thinkers, Adorno, Debord, Postman, Han, and Baudrillard, describe different parts of the same problem. Our culture no longer protects thought. It floods it with noise, spectacle, and distraction until reflection becomes difficult, even unnatural. The danger is not only that idiocy spreads, it's that we begin to accept it, to prefer it, to mistake it for reality. This isn't just about others. We are also part of it. We scroll. We mimic. We are seduced by the very system we might want to resist. Awareness must begin with humility, admitting we're not above it. Real resistance doesn't come from mocking others or feeling superior. It comes from noticing the patterns and quietly stepping outside them. It comes from creating space for silence, reflection, and depth in a culture that values noise and speed. Thinking deeply is not a passive act anymore. It is a rebellious one. It requires courage to step away from the absurd and refuse to let algorithms decide what we pay attention to. It requires us to reclaim the value of slowness, solitude, and listening, not just to others but to ourselves. The real danger isn't just that the world is full of stupidity. The danger is that we may stop seeing the difference between the absurd and the real. If we don't protect the space where thought can breathe, then slowly, without noticing, thought itself will disappear. Not through force, but through laughter, distraction, and the endless scroll.